The church that I visited is a Pentecostal church called Full Gospel Tabernacle of God. It's in my hometown of Union, South Carolina. The church is relatively small, and I would say it probably held about 50 people tops. The worship experience was very music oriented. We sung the majority of the time we were there, and the congregation was having a very emotional response to the music. There were even times that people would go down to the front of the church and shake their hands and lie on the floor because the music was moving them so much. This is a picture I snapped of the front of the church before the service got started. The congregation was about a third the size of my home church, so I would say this is a very close and tight-knit community. They were very warm and welcoming. I got so many hugs regardless of the COVID-19 regulations. I could tell that I was very welcome at this church. So many people I had never met before told me that they were glad that I was there and they hoped to see me back again. This next clip is the congregation singing Amazing Grace together. Men and women both play a large role in this church. At my home church, it is mainly men who run the service, and the offering is taken up by the deacons. But here, the women of the church took up the offering. They also play a large role in leading worship through music. Next, I have my interview questions with the pastor.
How would you summarize your church's core beliefs and teachings?
I say it's centered around the Bible and the teachings of Jesus.
I noticed that your congregation has a lot of racial diversity. How important is that to you and your congregation?
That is very important to us because we're all the human race and we're all the family of God, and that is very important.
Is there anything that you do deliberately to increase your racial diversity in the congregation?
Just love everybody and try to encourage them and build them up.
What are two of the biggest problems facing your denomination today?
I don't know of any problem, except maybe people that need a touch from the Lord and being touched and being healed.
Do you have any women in your church in leadership positions?
Yes.
What is your church's teachings about the place of women in church leadership positions?
Well, we believe that Christ made us all equal and beyond gender, and we believe as God used women in the New Testament to carry his message, we believe that God can anoint women today.
What is your church's teachings and views about homosexuality?
Well, we believe what the Bible teaches, that God made, male and female, and that we love homosexuals and we love people that are gay. I've got friends that are good friends with me, and I love them, and I hug them, and I kiss them. But I still believe it needs to be put under the blood because it's a sexual sin. But God forgave us of our sexual sins, and he forgives them too.
For my last question that I made up, it kind of surprised me that he didn't have a more concise answer for me.
How do you think the Pentecostal church differs from the Southern Baptist church?
Well, I'm not for sure because we're really not. We're made up of Baptist, we're made up of Presbyterian. We even have a few Catholic that are coming. So, and my roots are from the Pentecostal, but we do differ in that we will shout and speak in tongues and lay hands on people and have the Spirit of God moving in our way like we did this morning.
Next, I have some closing remarks from the pastor at the end of the service about how they feel you should worship.
Hallelujah. And it ain't about doing no certain ritual. It's just being ourselves in the presence of God and letting God touch us. Thank you, Father.
I know I mentioned earlier that I was very welcomed into this church, but just to give you an idea of how welcomed into this church I was, at the beginning of the service, he came around and asked my name and told me he was glad I was there. And then at the end of the service, he actually pointed out to the congregation who I was and told them my name and told them that he was glad that I was there.
Him, but I found Jesus. And when I found Jesus, I started following him, and he transformed my life. And I ain't never been the same. And if you see me in Walmart, I'm this way like I am right now. Amen. I don't change. I'm the same way I am now as I am at Walmart. God is good, isn't he? And God touches you. Well, let me tell you, it's a brand new start. Brand new start. Hallelujah. All that you've been going through and the struggles and doubts and fears and disappointments, God's going to heal you up from that. And he's going to bring in that precious man in your life. God's going to bring him in. Isn't that beautiful? That's what God does. He starts something and then we walk in it. Isn't that beautiful? Ashley, we're so glad to have you today. Let's give Ashley a great big hand.
Based on how welcomed I felt the first time coming to this church, I would most definitely feel comfortable coming back and potentially being a member of this church.